Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Matthew here, and in this video, we're going to be covering the recent development regarding Jim Harbaugh, um, who is the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. Now, it says here on this article by Adam Silverstein of CBSSports.com that he is expected to be suspended 4 games by the NCAA for providing false statements. Harbaugh is accused of being dishonest during an investigation over recruiting violations. Now, before I read you this article, I'm going to read you this article that was written by Barrett Salih in January of this year. To give some background to why this came about. Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are under NCAA investigation for alleged recruiting and practice violations. Um, Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are under investigation for multiple rules violations by the NCAA, which sent the Wolverines a draft of a notice of allegations on Thursday. The allegations included level one violation against Harbaugh himself, as well as multiple level two violations, according to multiple reports. Yesterday, we received draft allegations from the NCAA regarding our football program. We have cooperated and will continue to cooperate with this investigation. Out of respect of the NCAA's enforcement process, we will not offer further comments. That was their athletic director, Ward Manuel. The level two violations reportedly included accusations that Michigan held practices with too many coaches on the field, contacted two prospects during the extended COVID 19 dead period, and observed practices via an unauthorized video feed. The level one violation, which is the most serious accusation, is that Harbaugh misled the NCAA when it approached him with the allegations. So it's like he gave him some false information. In other words, he lied. A level one violation could result in suspension, which you will get into, and in some cases, grounds for dismissal based on the language of the coach's contract. In this case, Michigan could move to terminate Harbaugh's contract. They're not going to do that. According to Yahoo Sports, they're not going to do that. It's not like with Jeremy Pruitt in Tennessee. The reason why Tennessee was willing to move on was because Jeremy Pruitt was an awful head coach. Michigan just won the Big Ten championship game in back-to-back years. They're not winning. They're not getting rid of Jim Harbaugh. Providing false and misleading information is a violation of NCAA bylaw 10.1, which deals with unethical conduct. Violations of this bylaw include obstructing an investigation or encouraging another person to lie. It is considered a significant violation, but it's not always a level one infraction. But if the fact that this was a level one infraction shows how dishonest he was, at least per the NCAA. It's rare that a sitting Power Five coach would be charged with misleading the NCAA, but there is precedent. I'm not going to read the whole thing involving UConn men's basketball team because it's completely irrelevant. The unethical conduct violation has its foundational base in the old phrase, the cover up is worse than the crime. But there is no language in the NCAA manual about it being an automatic level one violation, so there is some gray area there. That's the issue with the potential notice of allegations from Michigan. It may not be finalized at this point. Its contents are not certain until the document becomes public. And as with all cases, it's what violations are alleged and what can be proven in front of the NCAA committee on infractions. On January 1st, some of the language in 10.1 was folded into the bylaw 19.1.1, which deals a severe breach of conduct and one or more violations that seriously undermine or threaten the integrity of the NCAA collegiate model. While it is believed that Harbaugh's alleged infractions occurred before January 1st, if he continued after New Year's Day, sources tell CBS Sports it would be more advantageous for the violation to be called failure to cooperate with the NCAA enforcement investigation. The news can come at a very interesting time for Michigan. Harbaugh's name has been connected to job openings with the NFL's Carolina Panthers and Denver Broncos. Other openings in the pros could come up next week as the NFL wraps up its regular season. And if you remember last year, after the Michigan won the Big Ten championship for the first time, and since the late '90s, and made the college football playoff for the very first time before losing to Georgia in the semifinals. He afterwards, um, he apparently flew to interview for the Minnesota Vikings head coaching job. So quite frankly, it's not like Jim Harbaugh is that committed to Michigan. You know, Michigan would love to keep him, but I'm not sure if Jim Harbaugh would love to stay. Uh, I am aware of the rumors and speculation over the past few days. Harbaugh said college and NFL teams have had great interest in all of our personnel, from our players to our coaches to our staff, and I truly believe that is a testament to the strength of our University of Michigan football program. And he gets further into that. The statement, the Michigan will have 90 days from receiving the notice of the allegations to respond with the NCAA. Then it talks about what he has done in his time as a head coach in both college football and the NFL football. So here it is. Now we're going to get to this article right here by Adam Silverstein. Just read that top part. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh is expected to be suspended for the first 4 games of the 2023 college football season as part of a negotiate as part of a negotiated resolution between the program and the NCAA. So it's basically a settlement. Harbaugh is accused of providing false or misleading information to the NCAA during an investigation into which alleged recruiting violations made in 2021 during an extended dead period stemming from COVID-19. And here's their schedule right here. The first 4 games are against East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers. I mean, even though Jim Harbaugh is going to be suspended, it should be expected that Michigan should come out of that 4-0. But then again, at the same time, you don't know how crucial it is to lose a head coach like that simply based off of Jim Harbaugh's experience. Yes, Michigan Wolverines have way more talent than all 4 of those teams probably combined, but at the end of the day, you would still take a head coach who has a ton of experience um, over a head coach that doesn't have any experience, even in the first 4 games. That should be a walk in the park for the Michigan Wolverines, as it is. We are continuing to work cooperatively with the NCAA staff on an enforcement matter, Harbaugh's attorney Tom Mars told ESPN. At this time, we are not allowed to comment on other possible penalties or other aspects of the matter. The NCAA alleges that Harbaugh lied to investigators during an initial meeting about the violations. Dishonesty to the investigators is a separate level 1 violation in the NCAA's rulebook. It appeared as if the parties were headed towards a resolution in the matter earlier this year. However, while those negotiations were ongoing, Harbaugh refused to sign a document admitting that he was dishonest during that first meeting. So he lied, and then he tried to stand behind his lies, and then eventually the fact that he settled for a 4 game suspension means, yeah, I lied, and I tried to stick with it. The Wolverines coach has consistently maintained that he was not purposefully dishonest. Well, maybe even if he wasn't, but from an optics standpoint, the fact that you agreed to a 4 game suspension shows that you do have somewhat of a guilty conscience and that you do know you were somewhat guilty of something. Rather, he claims he did not remember the events that led to the recruiting violations. Harbaugh's penalty will be almost assuredly be harsher than it would have been if the NCAA believed he cooperated from the onset, as all 4 violations were of the level 2 variety. Michigan is expected to begin the season as a consensus top 5 team nationally. Opens the 2023 campaign against the teams that I already told you about. Multiple Wolverine assistants, including offensive coordinator Sharon Moore and tight ends coach Grant Newsome, are expected to receive some form of punishment from the NCAA stemming from this investigation. Former Michigan defensive coordinator Mike McDonald, who left the program to join Harbaugh in the same position for the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, who also hired Georgia football offensive coordinator Todd Monken for the same position, is reportedly in line for a 1-year show cause penalty that would stymie a return to college athletics. And if you don't know what that means, it's the same thing with Jeremy Pruitt, in the sense that if he were to go back into college football, he would have to, I guess, wait a year and be given permission by the NCAA to be hired, as opposed to Jeremy Pruitt, who would have to wait 5 years. Um, Last year, the NCAA notified Michigan of the 4 alleged level 2 violations. Those included meetings with 2 recruits during the COVID-19 dead period and texting a recruit outside of a permitted window. Beyond the recruiting violations, the Wolverines are accused of having analysts perform on-field coaching duties during practice, with coaches monitoring player workouts via Zoom. Level 2 violations are defined by the NCAA as less than a substantial or extensive recruiting, competitive, or other advantage. So that's the news surrounding Jim Harbaugh. Um, Surrounding Jim Harbaugh. He will be expected to be suspended the first 4 games of the 2023 season, and those are the first 4 opponents that the Michigan Wolverines will be facing. Um, you know, if you're a Michigan fan, you still expect to go 4-0 with those 4 games with those opponents that I just read to you, but you still want to have your experienced head coach out there on the football field in case of a because you never know how much one differing judgment call by a head coach can change the outcome of a game. And you know, I think this is almost kind of a of another sign that Jim Harbaugh won't stay at Michigan because the fact that he has this on his shoulders, in continuing with the fact that he has flirted with the NFL for head coaching opportunities the last 2 years, when Michigan has had more success with Jim Harbaugh the last 2 years than they previously had before his previous first 4 years of his tenure, and he's still continuing to flirt with NFL jobs. And now you throw this into the wrench, you kind of wonder if it's just another omen that Jim won't be staying in Ann Arbor for the rest of his coaching career. It would not surprise me if 5 years from now Jim Harbaugh is coaching elsewhere from Michigan, being that he has advertised himself in the NFL a couple and back-to-back years in a row. And now the fact that he's getting suspended by Michigan, excuse me, by the NCAA for recruiting violations. If there's if he does something drastic or does something just completely debilitating for the program, it would not surprise me if Michigan used it as an opportunity to move off from his contract and not to pay him the buyout. But all in all, Jim Harbaugh is going to be suspended 4 games for providing false statements to the NCAA. And there's your video.